We all have different ways of managing our stress, but sometimes we're in denial about that stress and how stressful running your own business can be. We need help and we need support. We need systems, and that's the only way to avoid the stress. Welcome to September, and in the Facebook group Strictly Education and Support, we're currently involved in the Get Sorted September Challenge. Why don't you come over and join us? As long as you join before the 20th, then you'll be in it to win it. There's a challenge tracker, and if you win on the challenge tracker, then you'll win a one-to-one with me. So maybe, just maybe, I'll see you over in the group and I'll see you on the challenge. For now, you enjoy the podcast and hope to see you soon. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists and practitioners, responding directly to the needs of a practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business, something clinical, you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in practice. So thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast for our episodes. If you'd like more support, get in contact, and I look forward to working with you soon. Hello everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite-Sized Podcast. How are you today? Well, today I thought let's talk about stress management. We all have a bit of stress, don't we? And stress has changed over the last couple of years. Things have changed dramatically in how we want to show up, how we want to be in business, what we want to do. If you've been stuck at home a lot with family, how you work with family has changed. How you want to be with your loved ones has changed. It's really interesting, the dynamics and the changes that we've all gone through over the last couple of years. And it doesn't matter where you are. Some people did it really tough. The Victorians did it really tough. They took one for the team. And how they managed, nobody knows. But they had to manage, and they've totally worked out different ways of being and different thought processes, and just as the rest of us have, but in different ways, different timelines, and all the rest of it. So I thought, let's talk about the stress management of now, because it's different to the stress management while we were going through all of that lockdown and everything else, isn't it? It's very different how we've come out the other side, and we still haven't finished with it. I've only just got over COVID. I've still got a little bit of long COVID tagging along, a little bit of exhaustion. I'm lacking a bit of clarity that I had in the past, and there's stress associated with that. There's stress associated with illness, as we know from our clients. And it's great. We tell our clients they need to exercise, but they need to relax. They need to deep breathe. This is how you do square breathing. This is how choose your colors, find 7 things. All of the stress systems that are out there, eat well, slow down, take a break, blah, blah, blah. But for us, those of us running a business and doing something else as well, none of you just doing one thing. Nobody is just doing one thing. We all run a household, whether the man about the house or the woman about the house. We run a household. We're single. We've got a family. We run a household. We're doing another job. There's always another job that's there. It might just be feeding yourself if you're single, and you might find that a chore. We all find different things a chore. And so stress management for us is different. For every person, it's different. But every person who has a small business, it's a big deal, and we try to ignore it. But it takes stress home with us, and we have to place those boundaries. There have to be those boundaries in place. Otherwise, we really end up suffering with the stress of it all, with everything that we've got to do. All the external parts of our business as well as the internal parts. Lots of us are introverts, and here we are online doing all these things. Oh, Geraldine, you're not an introvert. We all have an introverted aspect to our personality. Even the person that you think is the most out still has an introverted aspect somewhere. They want to relax somehow and be away from people. I find social media to be quite difficult, and yet I'm on there all the time, or so you'd think, but it's actually very controlled, the amount of time that I spend on social media. I do look. My iPhone gives me at the end of each week, it says how long I've been on everything. And then, I touched on it differently the other week, and it gave me this huge breakdown of everything that I touch on my phone, which games I play, what I open first. So Gmail I open first, so I don't open social media first. And social media is relatively long way down the list. it shows that I only watch TikTok on a Sunday evening. It's very rare that I'm caught watching TikTok any other time. And my TikTok does not have dances on it. It's all political. So I catch up on world politics on my TikTok, and my daughter shows me cats on hers. But anyway, we all have different ways of managing our stress, but sometimes we're in denial about that stress and how stressful running your own business can be. We need help and we need support. We need systems, and that's the only way to avoid the stress. We should be doing things like waking in the morning and journaling, meditating. And what is really good about those things is when we think about them, if you wake up in the morning and think, I haven't got time to journal, I haven't got time to journal, it actually means that, you probably should be journaling, because why haven't you got the time? What is it that you need to remove or change or replace so that you have got the time for you, so that you have got the time for your partner, so that you have got the time for your children, so that you have got the time for your animals, so that you have got the time for you and the things that you need to do? Where is that time going? So lots of coaches and mentors, they will say, get a food diaries that we give to our clients, but instead of a food diary, we have a time diary. What are you doing every 20 minutes of the day? And if it's too much to try and do every 20 minutes, either cut it down to 15, so you're doing it more regularly, or expand it to every half an hour. But don't say, what should I do in the hour? Because in the hour, you might have spent 45 minutes doing social media, and then you do 15 minutes of sitting down, writing the blog. And then you're like, how long was I on social media for? How long was I writing the blog for? I don't know, because it's an hour. So we really need to break it down into, the longest period would be half an hour, 20 minutes is good, or 15 minutes if you think, well, I can't do it. And then you can really decide what it is that you're doing. How are you spending your time? What you'll discover, and what I discovered the first time I tried to do it, I was like, I haven't got time to do this. And so I did it over a week, because then I would find, I'd be able to do it for a couple of hours, and then I'd go off on a tangent. I'd forget I was doing it, or I'd go out, or I had to go and pick up children or something. So it's just like 3-hour blocks were gone because I had to run all over the place and do things. So I didn't have that time become something else. So it's kind of crossed out. There'd just be a line through it saying school run or whatever it was. So I had to do it over a whole week rather than over a 24-hour period, because normally it's like just do a 24-hour period, see how you go. But I had to do it over a whole week because there'd be huge gaps, and it would just say school, because I'd be like, well, I did like 300 things. And I tried to drive here, do that, do this, do that, do the other thing. As I dropped off, picked up, went to the sports thing, came back. You know what it's like, those of you that children that need running everywhere. So it's a really good idea to chart out. Use whatever system you want. You can use a spreadsheet, and you can use a spreadsheet on your phone. Don't use an app, because there's a lot of tracking of these apps, as it turns out. I keep seeing that on TikTok. It's don't use period apps, don't use those apps because they're tracked. And so that's Big Brother watching and all the rest of it. So it's a good idea if with these, that does go on a piece of paper, or that does go on a spreadsheet on your phone that is therefore in Google Sheets. If you've got G Suite, it's not called G Suite anymore, it's called Workplace, then that's supposed to be behind firewalls and things and not part of anybody else's information. So when we think about how am I spending my time, how can I use it more productively, but how can I enjoy the things that I've got on there? I like going onto TikTok. I like hearing all the politics. I like watching these people, looking at all these I found myself on American TikTok quite a bit, or an Australian American TikTok, where one lot is sort of saying the other lot doesn't exist. The Americans are saying the Australians don't exist. Australia's not there. It's not really a place. And Australians saying, yes, we're actually upside down, and showing pictures of everything upside down to say, yeah, we are on the other side of the world, especially for the Americans who don't understand gravity is. But anyway, let's not go on about that. But I enjoy that time. I enjoy watching that. I find it fun. So it's designated to a time so that I know I'm going to enjoy that time. It's like in the mornings, I have a coffee. I have a dirty chai every day. And I really enjoy that dirty chai. And I make it and I sit down and I enjoy it. This morning, I discovered we didn't have any oat milk or almond milk or anything else. I make it with a nut milk alternative. And so I didn't have any. So I had to go to the supermarket, and the supermarket that I go to, Foodland. If you've not been to Adelaide, then you don't know what a supermarket is really. So we have the best supermarket in the world. And it literally is. It wins awards being the best supermarket in the world, one in Fruitvale. And there's a cafe and I go in there and there's all the organics. And so I went this morning and I have my almond dirty chai made for me, and then went and got all the ingredients for muesli because I was like, oh, well, and get my oat milk and everything else. So I did all those things. So it was a bit different this morning, but normally that time with my chai, it's like I say to my clients, if you're going to drink coffee, make it worthwhile. If you're going to do something, if you're going to eat cake, enjoy the cake. Don't think to yourself that you could call it a guilty pleasure, but I don't see why is there guilt? If you're going to enjoy something, enjoy it properly. Relax and take that moment and enjoy that moment properly. And if you know what you're doing with your time and how you're spending your time, and if you allocate times to enjoying yourself, time on TikTok or getting a massage or whatever it might be. I mean, I allocate my massage. I see a massage therapist. I see Denise once every 6 weeks or so, and more or less kind of thing. Sometimes it's a bit less, sometimes a bit more, depending what's happening. But I designate those things in my diary, and they can't be changed. They are everything to me. And so we have to think to ourselves, how can I fit these things in to support myself, to support my stress levels, or reduce my stress levels, and to feel good? How am I going to do these things? How am I going to make my life fulfilling as well as supporting others? Clients are empathy suckers. It's as simple as that. And so we have to have time when we can be replenished. If you think of yourself as a battery, you need charging. Simple as that. You've got to be charged. And if you don't charge, then you're stressed, you're exhausted, and everything just becomes too much. So, and I've particularly noticed my level of exhaustion or battery depletion over this last 2 months since I've had COVID, because I'm exhausted every afternoon. I have to really think about how I'm going to use my energy, how I'm going to spend my time, where I'm going to put my energy. And I'm now looking, okay, I need to work with other people who are going to do more for me, who are going to run my Facebook ads for me, who are going to do these things for me, who are going to help me do things, not just get me to do them, not just say, yes, this is how you do it, off you go. I need more support. And that's something that has become very plain. I need to change the way I do things. So next year, the graduate program is going to be formatted differently. There's going to be an intensive period, and then there's going to be the group work so that they just slot in with the other things that I won't be changing. So we have to make sure that we're willing to change. We have to make sure that we're willing to look after ourselves and think about it in the long term. Think about how can we support ourselves? How can we do things for ourselves to support us in that longer time frame? So in the Academy in November, we have the virtual retreat. So this is every year. We have the virtual retreat. We actually have two sort of long, well, this year we're going to have 3, but we have 2 longer activity days. So when I say, well, sort of 3, the third one is in September this year. We're going to have a 3-hour session on discovery calls and getting your clients back and speaking to your clients. But that's sort of an extra one. But the 2 big ones, at the beginning of the year, we have programs and practice, and that's a study day. And then we have implementation following that. And that is getting your program set up in your practice. That's figuring out what it's going to be, who your avatar is, doing all the things to have that program set up. And it's $47 a month to be in the Academy. So it's really cheap. You just go ahead, pay for somebody's really expensive course, do that. They've literally done the courses that I have done to be delivering what I am delivering. So same, different, however you want to do it. But so it's all there. So we do programs and practice at the beginning of the year, and it's all there for the rest of the year. It's just I deliver it live, and I'm there making sure those people who want to be doing that at this point in time doing that, and I'm supporting them through it, and they get an extra appointment with me if they're doing it. Then at the end of the year, every November, we have the virtual retreat. So we're on to our 3rd one now, I think. The first one was hilarious because every year I can't send it to people in New Zealand and I'm going to try to send to WA, but the smudge sticks, I send out a smudge stick. So Louise Kerwin makes smudge sticks for me. And the first lot she made were really big because that's how she normally makes them. So she made these smudge sticks and they were huge. And then I was like, how am I going to send these things? And I ended up getting cylinders for everybody's gifts, and I put them all in the cylinders, and I had to make everything exactly 5 kilos, including the cylinder. So yeah, 500, whatever it was, 500, whatever. so that it could be posted at a particular price in this cylinder. And I sent to however many people I sent them to, and it was a nightmare. And not only the day that I had to pack them, because I had to pack and send with, I gave it 2 weeks, I think, postage. But this particular day was the only day I could do it. And they were re-tarmacking the road outside my house, which is also my office. And so I'd ended up in the morning, because they came by at 7:30 in the morning. So the night before, I'd put everything into the boot of the car. We've got one big car. We've got a little car, but the big car is the one I needed. I put everything into the back of the car. And then when they came and knocked on the door, I went and parked the car in another street, like 2 streets over. And then when I'd done what I needed to do, I then walked to the car and proceeded to drive to the post office. And in the car park at the post office, I packed everything into the envelopes, stuck everybody's address labels on them, and then went in to the post office with all of these bags of cylinders to be posted around the world, around Australia and to New Zealand and the UK and all sorts of places. Some made it, some didn't. Some people never got theirs, but I definitely posted to everyone. Then last year, though, I managed to get we'd made smaller ones, and they all went into squashy envelopes. And this year, they're even smaller. They are the perfect size this year, and they will all fit into the squashy envelope. But there's always lots of things in there. And this year, it's going to be on the theme of self-care, because stress is big and we're not caring for ourselves. We seem to think, now that we've had this break of 2020, when we had our designated you have to be closed down breaks, and that we've had our rest. And yet I think we need to look again and say to ourselves, I learnt a lot in 2020 about myself, about my business, about how I was doing things. And for me, I ignored it through 2021. And it was only because I got COVID in 2022, and I've now been afternoon nana naps every day for the last 2 months, that I'm like, things need to change in the way I work. Things need to be different. And I need to activate those changes rather than just thinking about it or being overwhelmed by it and ignoring it. So my challenge to you, if you choose to accept it, is to make yourself a little spreadsheet or use these diaries online. You can just download them and use them that are all timed, that have times on them, and to say, what are you doing? How are you spending your time? You know, if you do 24, 48 hours, great. You might have to spread it out over numerous days, because there's big gaps where it's just like, well, I can't be stopping the car every 20 minutes to write down. Drove one child to ballet, the other child to, I don't know, ballet at a different place, gymnastics or something. So if you should choose to accept the challenge, I strongly suggest that you do, so that you can look at, especially if you've got things in your diary. That was the other thing I had. So on a Tuesday morning, I always had do finances, and then I would actively do something else. So it's like on a Tuesday, every week it comes up at 12:30 in my diary, #training Tuesday. But at 12:30 on a Tuesday, I'm always doing something else. So it always happens on a Thursday. We can have things in our diaries, and then we need to reassess and go, is this really the right time? Is this the right day? Is this the right way? For me, do finances on a Tuesday morning, which never happened, culminated in get a bookkeeper. So I have Marie's bookkeeping, and she's great because it's all online. And I know of Karen is another one in New Zealand that I know of, that people need a mobile bookkeeper. So I will tag both of them in the footnotes of this. So if you need a bookkeeper and a mobile one here in Australia who understands about GST-free consults and all the rest of it, then Marie's bookkeeping. And if you're in New Zealand, then Karen, whose business name is escaping me right now, but I will put her links in the show notes as well, is a great online bookkeeper as well. So you don't actually have to do it yourself. They do it for you, that was a major stress relief for me. So we know how to help our clients with stress. We do it all the time, but are we helping ourselves? And I want you to really think about how you're helping yourself get through stress right now, and what you're doing with your time and how you can allocate it better so that that battery of yours doesn't become empty and you're able to refuel on a regular basis. Don't let it run out like a Tesla in the middle of the desert. So I'll leave it there today. It was lovely catching up with you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And you know, the usual things, you've made it to the end. If you can, I'd love a 5-star review and a comment. That would be absolutely brilliant, because that supports me in my small business, just like I'm trying to support you in your small business. I'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.